Hey there, guys. So the other day, I said I was going to go back to the Malefic Red Eyes Dark Dragons and the three higher realms for budget runs. Then I got sick, and I've been sick in the bed for the past few days. But at this point, I am mostly over it, so feeling a little bit better. So apologies for being late, but we're going to go back and now do some budget runs on these fights. We're going to start with the Dark Dragon, and then I'll figure out a budget run for the three higher realms team. Three higher realms team. Yep, a little bit sick, but I am for the most part over it at this point. So the missions are 5 turns or less and no KOs. You can bring a friend if you want. We're not going to, but by all means, bring one if you need to. So the boss starts off with 2 turns of preemptive 90% physical and magical mitigation, which means it's very, very hard, or maybe impossible, maybe, to OTK him without like evokers or fixed damage. So if you saw my previous video, you know that we used an evoker to kill it on turn 1. You could also use fixed damage like Baran's base form LB to kill it on turn 1. But in this video, we're going to be just going for a slower clear and waiting for the mitigation to fade. Because once the mitigation is gone, it's very easy to kill the boss. So you want to use wind, lightning, or earth damage. The boss does petrify and paralyze on your party, so you want a way to deal with that. Also, you want some dark and fire resist on your party, up to 150 dark resist and 100 fire resist. And you want 200 fire resist on your provoker. So this is the party we're going to use. We're going to use Runda to physical cover. We're going to use Elena to 100% resist buff, and that's pretty much all she's doing. Sky is going to be our damage dealer with her jump, and that should pretty easily OTK it after the mitigation goes away. We're going to use Saul and Darkfina to buff Demon Killer and then support Chain. And then Lastwell Reagan are going to buff Dragon Killer and support Chain. Now you can swap these out with pretty much whatever you want. Alright, so let's see here. So here's the ambush. Yeah, this is the 90% physical magic mitigation, but evokers and fixed damage dealers can ignore that. But this will be up on turn 1 and turn 2. So on turn 3, we're going to be bursting the boss. So we're going to get Sky to set up on turn 1 with her Magnus, Overcast, and Severe Squall. Elena is going to do Blessing of the Azure and Crystal Refragmentation for a resist buff. We can just use Runda's LB here. We don't need anything from Saul and Lastwell this turn, so we can just ignore them. And the way this is set up is we can do 2 different bursts if need be. So there's some damage, but you know, whatever, we're evade covering it with with Runda. Alright, so now we're going to do Dragon Killer with Lastwell Reagan, and we're going to do Demon Killer with Darkfina and Saul. We don't need anything from Elena. Runda can, I'm doing these buffs, we don't really need them. Protect, Shell, and Cover. By the way, we broke the boss with the Obsidian Bracer. And we're going to normal attack Sky to jump her, and she'll land next turn when the boss's mitigation buffs are gone. So there's the AoE Petrify attack. Now, if your party was not immune, they would have been petrified. But now the boss's mitigation is gone, so it's pretty easy to OTK. So we're going to Flood Chain with these 2. You could also use their tag chains if you really wanted to, but, you know, whatever. And this should be the win, and if it's not, we'll jump again. Wait for the chain to build a little bit. We drop, yeah, there it is. So the boss has, I think, 1 billion HP. We did 3 billion, and I'm not using things like Ricard's gear and all. This is just a very, very generic Sky. So yeah, pretty easy to burst. Now if we didn't OTK that, we would jump again on turn 4 and land on turn 5. And that would still give you the whole 5-turn mission with no deaths. And as long as your party has a physical evade cover tank with dark and fire resist on your party, you're not going to take any damage. So let me show you the gear real quick, and then I will work on the other fight. And I may do the other fight tomorrow. I kind of want to get back in bed for the moment. Let's see. So Runda is just full evasion. And I kind of went overboard, a little bit high on fire and dark resist. We didn't need that much because we are using a buff, but you know, whatever. Here's the gear and status immunity and an evasion card. Elena, just using the shift form. Riku's pouch in case someone gets status effect, but obviously we didn't need that. 50 or better dark resist, and then we're using 100% buff to get 150 dark and 100 light, and auto break with the obsidian bracer. Sky in the shift form is just a jump build versus demons and dragons. So here's the setup. We are using some 5-star STMRs, but nothing really expensive, you know, just a non-premium card, etc. And she had 750 jump, maxed demon, and maxed dragon. Saul and Darkfina are just a buffer, and they're using status immunity, some dark resist, and support chaining, dual wielding on a Flood Esper. And then last one, Reagan, same thing, dual wielding on a Flood Esper. You don't need Poppy's STMR. Like I go overboard sometimes, but there it is. So there's the budget run for the Malefic Dragon. I will now brainstorm a way to do the Ashura fight, or the Ashura trial thingamajig in all missions. Anyway, see you in a bit.